I want to ask you something. Not a hard question, not something you have to figure out or get right. Just a question I want you to hold for a moment. When was the last time you felt something shift inside you? And what do I mean by that? I mean, the quiet moment nobody else saw, the one where something inside you whispered, think I'm okay. I mean, the moment that didn't look like anything from the outside, but inside, something moved, something softened, something said, yes. I mean, the moment you stopped fighting yourself, even just for a second, that moment, that's what I'm talking about. Not a big dramatic moment, not a breakdown or breakthrough, something quieter than that. A moment where you exhaled just a little longer than usual, where something you'd been carrying felt, even for a second, just a little lighter. Where you looked at yourself in the mirror or looked at your life and something inside you whispered, it's going to be all right. That moment was a moment of recognition that something shifted within you, something healed, something released that no longer served you and your greater good. And your angels, they were there for it. And today, we're going to talk about what healing actually feels like. Healing doesn't necessarily look like that super happy, smiling, running with the wind photo you see on someone else's Instagram. Not what your therapist's worksheet says it should be, not the version that has a timeline and a certificate at the end of it. Welcome to Divine Angelic Guidance, where spiritual psychology meets divine support and healing becomes a path of remembrance. I'm Michelle Irene Stupsky. I am a certified spiritual life coach and author and guide for women navigating midlife rediscovery, identity shifts, healing, and coming home to themselves. This is a space for the conversations that many women are carrying privately, but rarely hear spoken out loud. And if today's topic feels personal, you are not alone in that. Here's what I think a lot of us were taught in regards to healing, or at least what we absorbed somewhere along the way. We were taught that healing past issues, pains, grief, and traumas is like a project, that it has stages and steps and milestones, and that when you hear you need to heal, you may feel as if you are broken, there's something wrong with you. And if you do the right things in the right order, you're going to come out whole. And so we signed up for the workshops and we've read the books and we did the journaling and we said the affirmations, or maybe you ran away from all of this as fast as you could because, well, honestly, fear stepped in the way. If you did do all the things, sometimes it helped. It really did. And sometimes you wanted to call bullshit on all of it. But somewhere in the middle of all of this, many of us may have started to wonder, am I doing this right? Am I healed yet? Why doesn't it feel finished? And that question, that wondering if you're doing it right, became its own kind of weight. I want to put that weight down with you today because healing isn't a project. It isn't a destination. It's a conversation between you and your soul, between you and the ones who love you from the other side of the veil. It's ongoing. It's living. It breathes. And it has already started in you. It started long before you found this podcast. You may be thinking, Michelle, what does all of this have to do with angels and divine guidance? I want to tell you something about your angels that you may or may not already know. They have been with you through every single chapter of your story, not just the beautiful ones, not just the chapters you're proud of, the hard ones too, the ones you wouldn't read aloud to anyone. The years that you'd rather skip over in your own memory, they were there. They are the quiet holders of space, sending you small signs you sometimes saw and sometimes you missed, and whispering in the deepest part of you, that part that still knew who you were even when everything on the surface had gone sideways. Your angels don't show up with fanfare. They don't announce themselves with lightning strikes and trumpets like you see in the movies. They show up as the thought that stops you before you say something you can't take back. The sparkle in the room, or as the song comes on exactly at the right moment, and the stranger who smiles at you on the day you needed to feel seen. And often simply as the unexplainable, undeniable feeling that you are not alone. You know it, but you may not always recognize it. Something really cool just happened a few weeks back. For the first 4 weeks before this experience, I had been in some of the worst physical pain of my life: a pinched nerve in my neck, a compressed vertebrae, and pain that ran from bicep to bicep, across my clavicle, across my back, terrible headaches, barely able to move my head. I'm pretty sure some of the pain went beyond my injury and was the cause of release of some ancestral healing energy that I had been carrying that wasn't mine, and it needed to be released for good. That's a whole other podcast. But 4 weeks of this extremely uncomfortable pain where I could barely move or even use my arms for that matter. 4 weeks of waking up and immediately knowing the pain was still there. I had started physical therapy, thank God, and relief was finally starting to happen, but I still was very stiff. One evening, I took out our dog Bentley before we were going to turn in for the night, and it was a very mild evening, and I didn't even need a jacket, which, if you live in the Northeast like I do, you know that mild is a gift this time of year. And as I stepped outside, I felt called to look up to the sky. The sky, it was clear, it was beautiful. Every star was out. Well, at least what appeared to be every star. And one of my most favorite things to do in this world is to stargaze. So I'm standing under the open sky and I'm just looking to God and my angels and my loved ones and the ancestors who have crossed over. And I'm feeling the vastness of this universe once I connect with the energy that I'm stepping directly into the cosmos. It's a heavenly ride, and there's nothing else quite like it. And I look up and I go, oh my, the stars are beautiful tonight. And that's when I realized it was the first time in 4 weeks that I had lifted my head, actually lifted it all the way up without pain. But wait, that's not the cool part of the story. I stopped right there in my backyard and I thanked God out loud for that release, because I knew what I'd been carrying wasn't only physical. That pain was layered. It was an old gymnastic injury woven together with ancestral trauma carried across generations, physical and spiritual discomfort, all compressed into the same place in my body, asking to finally be seen. And then I noticed the Big Dipper right above me, centered in our backyard like it had been placed there. I smiled because I know that constellation well. In the summertime, the Big Dipper moves over our barn, and seeing it where it was told me that summer is coming, that things are shifting. That was a silent message. While standing there under the sky, I started to remember my mom and dad teaching my brothers and I about the constellations when we were younger and camping out in the open. The Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, the Seven Sisters, those quiet moments of looking up together, learning to read the sky like it was telling us something. And I said out loud, thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad, for teaching us to look up, for giving us the stars and the moment, the exact moment those words left my mouth. A shooting star crossed the sky. Not just anywhere, directly through the cup of the Big Dipper, right through the ladle, like it was poured from it. The trail of light was magnificent, long and bright and unhurried, and I just stood there with my hand over my heart, tears streaming down my face, completely undone by the perfection of God's timing. My mom and dad heard me. They were there. They answered. That is what angelic presence feels like. Not loud, not dramatic, just precise, just perfectly timed, just enough to let you know, I hear you. I'm here. You are not alone. And I have to tell you something more, that moments like this are part of what is written in my new book, You Weren't Born to Fit In, which comes out on May 26th. And woven all the way through it is what I call the angelic field, the way our angels, our ancestors, and the cosmos itself are always in communication with us. The stars are in there. The understanding that the universe is not indifferent to your healing. It is actively participating in it. And between now and launch day, I am giving away a free copy of this book. And all you have to do is go to michelleirene.com and register. I'll put the link below. That's it. Put your name in the space provided, and you could receive a copy of this book well, you won't receive it on the day it's released, but it will go out on the day it's released, May 26th. This book was written for the woman standing in her backyard, looking up, asking to be heard. And I want it in your hands. And your angels aren't watching you heal from a distance. They are healing with you. They are in the process with you right now, as quiet witnesses, as gentle nudges, as the voice of the part of your soul that remembers the truth of who you are, even when you've forgotten. They're not going to rush you, and they are not going to tell you you're doing it wrong. They are just going to stay with you and love you and keep showing you the way home to your soul. So what does healing actually feel like? This is the heart of our episode. Let's take a deep breath in and exhale out and think about the last time you were really sick. There was a clear finish line. You felt it when you crossed it. But this isn't that. Your soul doesn't need to be healed. She was never broken. She has always been whole, always been waiting, always been home. What we are doing is finding our way back to her. And that's not a recovery. It's a return. More like a garden than a flu. It doesn't finish. It just keeps becoming. There's no finish line. There's only how far you've come and how much more of yourself you're willing to come home to. It feels like a morning where you wake up and the first thought isn't dread. I remember waking some mornings and repeating to myself, you're okay. You're okay. Everything's going to be fine. Healing feels like it's a new morning, a new dawn. When you see the stars in the sky as calming and glorious, it appears as light through the window, your coffee getting warm, holding it in the palms of your hands and taking that first sacred sip as if you savor the flavors. And you notice the absence of the weight you were once carrying before you even have words for it. You feel lighter. That's a release of energy, thus giving you relief. It feels like a conversation where you said the true thing instead of the easy thing. And the world didn't come to an end. And you stood a little bit straighter. It feels like looking at an old wound, a memory, a relationship, a version of yourself you used to be ashamed of maybe, and feeling something other than flinching. It's feeling comfortable in your own skin and laughing as loud as you wish without worrying about someone saying, shh, you're too loud. Maybe it doesn't feel like peace yet. Maybe you're not in full forgiveness mode, but the gauge needle, it's moving. Something is softer. Something that says, that was hard. I lived through it, and it doesn't own me anymore. It feels like belonging to yourself. Somewhere in the work that you've done, in the crying and the trying and the very ordinary Tuesday of it all, you came back to yourself. And something in you recognized it. Something in you said, yes, this, here, home, that's healing. And it's already happening. I know what it feels like to carry something for a long time. I know what it feels like to wonder if you belong anywhere, to sit in a room full of people who are supposed to be your people, and yet you still feel like you arrived somewhere else entirely. I spent a lot of years trying to make myself fit into spaces that were really never built for someone like me. I got very good at it. Good enough that most people couldn't tell, but I could tell. A lifetime of these moments came out of exactly these feelings in my book that is soon to be released. The feeling of searching for home in all the wrong directions before finally understanding that home was something I had to remember, not find. And the angels helped me get there, not by removing the hard things, but by staying with me through them, by showing me over and over again that I was seen, that I was held, that the version of me I was trying so hard to recover was never actually lost. She was just waiting for me to be ready to come back to her. I want to close this episode with a message. If you have been wondering if you are making progress, if you have been wondering if all the work is worth it, or if you've been wondering you're too far gone, too complicated, too much, too broken to come back from, your angels and I want you to know what you are is brave, very, very brave. What you are is held and seen through the eyes of your soul, connected to divine love. What you are is in the middle of something that is already quietly, beautifully working in your favor, even if it doesn't truly feel like it. The shift you've been waiting for is not coming. It's already here. Stop the waiting and wondering as you tune into this divine light connection you've always carried with you to see the truth within this light. It's in the stars, the walls, the grass, the trees. It's in your partner, your children, your grandparents. It's in your heart and in the depth of your soul. It is in the fact that you are listening right now to this podcast, that you're still with me, that you chose this, that some part of you said yes to this, to the work, to the healing, to the remembering. That is your soul. That is your angels. That is a part of you that has always known the way home. Trust them. Follow them. They've been waiting for you to listen. And if you're feeling the calling to tune in more, you're not sure where to even begin to find that space where you can come back to yourself, I want to invite you to join me for the Back to Me gathering. It's a beautiful monthly membership where we gather once a month on Zoom for meditation, open discussion. If you're so called to share, you don't have to. A journal practice, and the simple act of allowing yourself space to return to who you've always been. Our next gathering is Thursday, May 14th, and I would love to have you there. There's a link in the show notes, so come sit with us. Give it a shot. Thank you for being here today. If this episode touched something in you, share it. Send it to the woman in your life who is in the middle of her own healing and needs to be reminded that she is not alone. And don't forget, You Weren't Born to Fit In arrives on May 26th. Look at. Register right now to win a free copy. It is full of such goodness. I would love for this book to be in your hands. Come find me on Instagram and Facebook at Divine Angelic Guidance, also TikTok. I would love to hear what shifted for you today. And if you are not already subscribed to the podcast, please be sure to do so. Download it to listen to later. There's so much more coming, and we're building something together here. And I don't want you to miss a single piece of it. So until next time, remember this. You weren't born to fit in. The only space you need to fit in is within your soul. And that divine angelic guidance is at your service anytime you reach for it. Somebody is always with you, watching over you, and you are never alone. This has been your invitation to come home to your soul self and create the life your spirit always dreamed of. I'll see you next time.